All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Here we are. It's Southside's Live with old Johnny from Casino Gaming Central. And I see Anthony's here, the reigning champ of the Dice Degen Fantasy Football League. Good job. I actually thought I had a chance this year in that league. I was doing really, really well. The problem is I had my top receiver this year was Anthony Brown. And you all know the story with AB. He hit or miss every single week. And the last week of the year, the first playoff game actually, he got nothing. He got like 4 points, and McCaffrey had 15. And my two guys, McCaffrey and Brown, both did nothing. And my backup quarterback got 28 the last week. My starter got 12. So I was doing great until the last possible second, and then this whole thing just kind of shit itself. So anyway, love fantasy football. Actually had a good time too with Jen. The Justice Jen runs a pick'em league where you just pick every game. No spread. Just pick the winner of the game every week. That's actually hard to do. You think about it. Like the first couple weeks of the year, you don't know who's going to do what. The last few weeks, people are taking off, but those are fun. Just good to kind of get in there and kind of give everybody a little bit of shit. So anyway, good job on that. As far as everybody else goes, we're in the middle of I think a pretty cool series. We're doing ABCs of gambling, and we're on letter D today. So we'll jump into that. We got few more weeks of the show of this series to go. And one thing I know is I'm being a little bit repetitive, and it's fine. Like what I'm finding is that as I go through the letters and I kind of make my script for the days, I run into a lot of the same things, right? A lot of the same concepts. Today we're going to repeat one, I think, from the other day. But I think it bears repeating. Some of these things are so important. You got to hear them again and again and again to kind of drill them in. Maybe one letter will resonate, a different one won't for the same concept. So with that said, why do we do all this? Why do I put so much stupid time? I was talking to 10 Ton the other day, and we were lamenting how much work this all is, right? I know that for the podcast, he puts in 8-10 hours of editing time to get the Casino Tears pod. You probably don't know that. The podcast takes him 8 to 10 hours to edit the shows down after the interviews, right? And the interviews are a couple of hours. It's all the prep. It's a lot. For this show here, it takes me a good hour to 2 hours every night before the next day's show to prep. So what you're going to hear me say today in 20 minutes, it took me almost 2 hours last night to get ready. It's a lot of work, right? And why do we do it? Because of this. We know that the casinos hate you, right? That's what it comes down to, right? Like, what other business really kind of hates their customers? They do all these nice things for you. They give you the alcohol, they give you the great music, and they have shows and they have awesome food. But ultimately, they exist to just kind of take all your money. That's it. They're there with this nice facade, but behind it, it's the Jekyll, and they're just taking all your shit, right? And that's what they exist for. And it's a shame that most people don't realize that. Most people think they have a chance, which is a shame, right? Because you really don't. And if you get good at it, we'll talk about that today a tiny bit. If you get good at it, you're out. They don't want your action. If you, God forbid, you can beat them at their own game, you're not even welcome to play. So it's tough combat out there, right? So we talk about these concepts, the bridge, right? The bankroll, the identifying risk, your risk profile, right? Having an understanding of when it's time to lean in or walk away, having discipline to make the right call and execute it, right? Having goals, having no emotions almost when you play. It's hard, but these are the tools that you need to go into that fight with the casino and have any chance at all of not getting bankrupted. And that's what this is all about to me. So I'm I say it every day. I'm really passionate about this. I'm really passionate about making sure that we find better ways to talk through the tough stuff. And sometimes it's repetitive, sometimes it's mean, sometimes it's fun, but that's just what it is. And I want to make sure that we're honest. All right, here we are. So the ABCs of gambling is this series that I've started. And what I want to do here is, unlike the School of Gambling that we did, where it was 80 episodes, I wanted to kind of distill things down into all the cool things or not cool things about gambling that start with each letter of the alphabet, A, B, C, D, so on. And kind of maybe frame our discussions in that way. I may do a top 10 list at some point, a bunch of top 10 lists, but for right now, this is how I'm seeing things. And welcome to the letter D. And I'll be honest with you, today will not be the most exciting episode in the series. There's no hidden systems. There are a couple we'll talk about. There's no hidden edges. There's no weird trick that the casino doesn't know about or doesn't want you to know. This is about discipline for the most part. It's the one about doing boring work, mental reps, the unsexy fundamentals that separate players who gamble for decades from players who flame out in a year. There's the truth here that nobody wants to hear, as you know, right? Most of us know what to do, but let's review. You know basic strategies. You know House Edge. You've read books. Many of you are still losing. And the reason why is because knowing it and doing it are different skills. And the gap between those things is discipline. So today we're going to cover some more of the mental game, what pulls you off strategy, why your brain lies to you, how variance tests your resolve, and how to survive the bad times until you're so that you're still standing there for the good ones, and we'll earn our reward. At the end of today, we will do some positive stuff. I don't want to be Mr. Negative Nelly all the time, but we're going to end with a couple of technical plays that I think put real money in your pocket when you execute right. So let's hop into the letter D here, and I'm back. Good morning. So what's going to be covered today in letter D? We're going to look at 8 core topics. One, of course, will be, look at the screen working, discipline, the biggest D word of all. We'll start with the boring one. It's the skill that makes everything else work, though. We'll talk a little bit about distractions. We've been through this before in other forms, but distractions, everything competing for your attention is competing for your money. Think of it that way. We'll talk about due dates, a fresh reminder that the universe owes you nothing. We'll talk about decision fatigue. Okay, your brain is a battery, and your time at the table, I think, kind of drains that down. We'll talk about downswings. Variance isn't the enemy. It's your reaction to it. And that's an important piece to remember. And then we'll come out and have some fun. We'll talk about the D'Alembert. Come on, let's go. The everybody's favorite negative progression. We'll talk about the D'Alembert, or the D'Alembert, the D'Alembert, the D'Alembert. I'm not sure how you really say it, but we'll talk about it. It's the Whalen, and it's the Ken, and it's the Dr. S way of playing. We'll talk about doubling down, right? The moments where the math begs you to bet more. There's a couple of chances we have at these games where you have to get money out there. We'll talk about doubling down, and we'll close with one of my favorite things in the world that don't pass. So here we go. Let's hop into the first thing, which is D for discipline. The casino doesn't just beat you with math, right? The math is posted on the table. Like, you know the math, right? For the most part, if you watch my shows, you know the probabilities, the odds, all that stuff. And you know how House Edge works. And that's not really what gets you, right? When you stop following your own rules, that's the real thing, right? If you could only lose the House Edge like you're supposed to, it wouldn't be that bad. Giving up 1.5% of your bankroll that's not the worst thing in the world, right? It's the reasons. This is the reason why the hold, or the actual profit or take of a table in craps should be 1.5%. It's like 16%. It's because people don't have discipline, right? It's that gap between knowing and doing. So let's get it out of the way, right? Discipline isn't exciting. Nobody's making YouTube shorts about, I stuck to my stop loss and I went home. Can you imagine if Bluff changed, or Vegas Matt changed from donking 10 grand in 30 seconds to being, hey, I'm bringing 10 grand and I won one $100 bet and I'm out of here, guys. See you later. Nobody would watch that, even though that would be the most helpful episodes those guys could ever do. Here's 10,000 real dollars. I'm going to go ahead and not donk it, but I'm going to put it at risk to win a goal and walk. Nobody would ever watch it. Doesn't feel like winning. Feels like quitting. That's how people see that, right? But here's what I've learned watching players for 30 something years now, right? The ones who last aren't the smartest, right? They're not the ones who know the most obscure ways to play and calculate the pot odds in their head. They're the ones who do what they said they were going to do. They wrote it down. I have a goal. Today I'm going to risk X to win Y, and then I'm fucking out of here. They're the ones who win, right? If you do what you plan to do every single time, that's who I'm talking about. Discipline shows up in the tiny moments. It's that decision to leave when you've hit your loss limit, even though you feel like a comeback is on the way. It's betting your standard unit when you're up big instead of always letting it ride, right? It's walking past the table that's calling your name when you know you're tired. The casino's entire business model is built on one assumption that you won't do what you know you oughta. That's it. That's how they're built, right? They aren't worried about card counters. There's maybe a few thousand serious ones in the country, but they're worried about, no, they're not worried at all, honestly, because they know that 95% of players will abandon their strategy the moment things get emotional. Every skill we talk about in the series, right? Your bankroll management, your bet sizing, all of it requires discipline and for you to execute. And without it, you're just a person who read some books and still loses. Discipline is not like, I don't know, it's not one heroic moment like I say on screen here. It's 100 small decisions that nobody sees, but you got to make them anyway. It's a big deal. So discipline, I think, is and variance is an enemy. We'll talk more about that, James, for sure. It's an enemy, but it's not the only thing you're facing, right? In the face of bad variance, it's the decisions that you make. Your discipline keeps you from trying to ride it out. And I think we're actually have a word here coming up that sort of gets into what you're talking about there for sure. All right. So next up is distractions. And we have had a conversation about this with alcohol earlier in the series. The casino, as you know, has spent $500 million or more, billions of dollars. I think the Hard Rock in Vegas is going to cost $3 or $4 billion, right? Do you think they did that so that you could concentrate, to give you a nice, cozy, comfortable place to be so you could kind of focus on what you're going to do? No, right? They're engineered distraction environments. Like, take a moment and think about where you make your best decisions, right? Probably somewhere quiet with good lighting, like my room in here, right? Like my little craps closet, right? No interruptions, time to think. Now think about a casino floor. There's noise coming at you 360, every direction. Lights designed to keep you alert, but not all that focused. There's free alcohol being delivered on the regular. Screens are everywhere. There's games, there's promotion, there's jackpots. Somebody's won. There's food that you can smell, right? It's all there. And in your pocket is your phone. Your own enemy, right? Buzzing with notifications, checking the scores, right? You got the sports book here, your phone's buzzing. It's a whole thing, right? And none of it, by the way, is an accident. Every element of that casino has been designed and tested and optimized for decades for one reason, and that's to separate you from deliberate thought. It's literally what they're there to separate you from yourself. Because when you think clearly, you make good decisions, or at least better ones. When you're distracted, you make default decisions that favor the house, typically, right? We've all seen it. We know players who've studied, we've played with them at tables, right? They know the right play, but guess what? We chat with our neighbors. You're watching the game. I do it all the time. I'm playing craps, and if God forbid there's a TV set there in front of the table and I'm watching a football game or the Mariners or something, right? During the game, flirting with a waitress. What happens? How many times have you played with me, people? Ian Olson out there in the audience played with me, and I've said, "What was the call?" Because I'm doing this. I'm looking around, right? And I don't even pay attention what the throw was half the time. I've thrown the dice myself and said, "What's the call?" Right? Because I don't always see it. I'm literally guilty of some of this stuff myself, and that's why I want to kind of pour this into y'all, right? And then you go with your gut. Your gut's often wrong because you react. You're not really just plugged in, right? When it's decision time, you got to be present, fully present. And that means knowing what distracts you and building defenses around that stuff. Some people wear headphones, right? Some people just sit like this at the rail. Like, I have to get better at it myself, sitting at the rail, looking at the table. I want to be social, but I also got to be plugged in, right? Some people leave their phones in their room and just bring the bare minimum to the table. In today's day and age, you can't really do that as much. I would probably make that a light suggestion because, when you're 57 years old and you have your phone and you have a heart attack at the table, somebody has to make a phone call, right? But you got to find what works for you because the casino knows what works for them, okay? It is an engineered distraction machine, the casino, right? They know what pulls your focus, right? You got to know what pulls your focus and defend against it like your bankroll depends on it because honestly, it does. All right. Due dates. We have talked about this ad nauseum, but I'm going to say it again and again and again and again. The roulette ball does not know where it just landed. It doesn't know where it landed before. It doesn't know that it's had 6 blacks. It can't count. It didn't go to school. Dice don't have any idea either, right? Do is a human concept, okay? And I think we're going to talk about this probably again because this is the lie that you tell yourself most often, right? 7 reds in a row, everything for some people, and this is funny, everything for some people says black, 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 black. It's do. It's got to be do. The universe demands balance. How many times have I heard my good friend, Jacob from Wager Me This, say this? The 7's coming. Your 6 rolls in, the 7's on the way. Get your money out before the 7 comes. He says things like that. He says things like the universe will balance itself out. I've heard even Bo Parker, Coach Bo, say the universe demands balance. It doesn't demand anything. It doesn't. The games have no memory, right? All those previous things, they only exist in your head. They're, like they say, they're taking up space in your head, right? It exists on the scoreboard that the casino provides. And why do you think the scoreboard's there? Remember what I say. The casino does absolutely nothing to help you. The scoreboard at the roulette table and at the Bach table and coming soon to a craps table near you is there to hurt you, not to help you. It helps them. The next spin, the next roll, the next everything has the same odds that it always had, right? But wait, flip a coin a million times, it'll be almost 50-50. That's true. It's law of large numbers, but it doesn't work by correcting previous results. It works by all the variance that's in there. There's enough variance on both sides that it all evens out in the end and it gets drowned out. Anything that's weird gets drowned out by the massive results. Okay. You flip it 7 times in a row. The universe does not owe you tails if it's been heads that many times. Just keep flipping until the 7 times that it happened wrong is a rounding error. That's what happens, right? And again, you don't got a million flips. You have tonight. And tonight, nothing's due. And the dangerous part is that thinking works both ways. Whether you're on a heater, your brain's telling you, right, you're due for a loss. So you quit early and leave money on the table. That happens too, right? Or worse, you start hedging too much and you give back edge because you're scared of something that's going to get corrected in the math world. It just doesn't actually happen, right? The cure is simple for this, right? Treat every single decision as its own event. Every time, reset. This bullshit in craps of I'm going to take 2 hits on this shooter and then I'm going to stop playing and wait on the next shooter and take 2 hits on that next shooter. It doesn't matter if you take 15 rolls off. When you come back in, the next 2 rolls are yours. They're fresh rolls. Nothing got reset because it changed hands. Nothing gets reset if you win 5 wins in a shoe and wait for the shoe to finish up. Nothing is different as we go forward. You got to remember that, right? The only thing that you're due is what's the odds are in front of you. That's it. Everything else is a story. All right. Decision fatigue, another little negative one, but let's talk through this because this is actually an important thing. And I think that I have fallen prey to this also. So maybe this episode is like the John is sorry for being a bad person episode. But have you been here with me? Like hour 1, you're a surgeon, right? On a table. Hour 4, you're just like a guy pushing buttons. Like you're like kind of glazed over. And you got to know the difference between that. So here's a question for you, right? And this is real. Why do judges grant more paroles in the morning than the afternoon? Okay. It's been studied. Same judges, the same cases, 65% morning time approval, late afternoon, it's single digits, right? And I think I have, again, fallen prey to this too. I've gotten traffic tickets and I'm like, I'm going to fight that son of a bitch. And I, you make your court appointment and they say what time you want to do it. You say, I want to be there at 9:01 so I can get back to work. Well, guess what? 9 o'clock in the morning, judge just had his coffee. He's all ready to rock and roll and he hammers you, right? Take that same day, that same fight for the ticket to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And guess what? You might be getting off. It's decision fatigue, right? Every ruling costs mental energy. After enough of those things, the brain just stops evaluating and defaults to the easiest choice, right? Think about craps. You're at a hot table, dice are flying, bets are all over the place. Every 30 seconds, you're making a decision. It's press it, take it down, at odds, blah, blah, blah. And you're engaged, you're calculating, you're making the moves, right? 4 hours into it, you're like, ugh, you're not thinking like me. What rolled? What was that? What happened? And guess what? your reactions become default, which are probably not the optimal thing to do, right? This is why long sessions are so dangerous, right? It's not just law of large numbers, not just variance getting more time to hammer you, right? It's your brain checking out little by little by little by little while your body is still there playing, right? And the worst part of that is you don't really feel it. It's like, it's one of these things that just kind of just washes over you. Fatigue doesn't really announce itself. It just there. You feel fine, you feel sharp, and all of a sudden you aren't, right? And decisions that you've been degrading for hours, and you don't really notice it because noticing things takes energy, which you're draining and you don't have anymore. So this is why from the B letter, breaks matter. Session limits matter. Stop losses, win goals. Why the player who walks away after an hour or two isn't weak. They're smart. They're a different gambler at hour 4 than they were at hour 1. So takeaway like this, your brain is a battery and the casino is engineered to drain the battery. So quit while you still have charge or watch your decisions just decay and you won't even realize that it's happening. All right. Downswings. So we're talking about variance. And I know this is a topic in chat today. Variance isn't coming for you. Okay, I'm going to say it again. Variance is not coming for you. It's coming for you all the time. It's not like it's on the way. It's always happening. You always live in variance 100% of the time. The question is whether you'll still be there when a bad variant passes or whether you'll be there when the good one comes. Okay, so again, it's not a possibility. It's promise. You will never see a flat set of results. Very rarely will a baccarat shoe go bank play, bank play, bank play the whole way through. Very rarely will you see exactly 36 perfect rolls on a craps table or 38 perfect spins at a roulette table that go 1, 2, 3, 4. It just doesn't happen. You're always in a variant, right? And if you play any negative expected value game, every casino game long enough, and that's every one of them, you will experience a downturn 100%. Extended periods where you do everything right and still you get your ass kicked. It happens, right? Sessions like that, you'll question everything. Weeks where you wonder, have I forgotten how to play? Personally, I'm on a losing streak right now. When I went to Vegas, the last 2 times in Vegas, I lost. Not a lot, but I lost. The last time I played with the group in Seattle, I lost, right? I feel like I'm in this weird turn where nothing's going my way. For a while there, I won 15, 20, 30 sessions in a row, and now I can't get out of my own damn way. It happens. It's not bad luck. It's math. It's standard deviation. It guarantees that the results will cluster sometimes in ugly ways. It's where I live right now, right? It will bust through. Having the bankroll to get through it is important, right? A blackjack player with perfect strategy, right, still will lose 45% of the time. It just happens, right? You string those together, downswing, right? But what matters is not that it happens. It's going to happen, right? There's no question variance will catch you sometimes, both sides. It's what you do when it happens. Most players respond to downswings by changing something. They chase the loss. They might increase bet sizes to try and get back. They abandon strategies because it's not working. They're going to try and catch something different. They think they can outsmart the table. You cannot do it. They take shots at higher stakes with different things, hoping to recover faster. All of that makes the downswing worse. The strategy wasn't broken, right? Your variance that you're in did what variance does. It just took you, right? And you don't know. Again, nothing's due. What the previous thing that just happened is going to be the thing that keeps happening. You don't know that, right? You ride the gal that brung it kind of thing, right? So changing your approach in response to regular fluctuations, that's how a downswing becomes catastrophic. And your bankroll's job, the first B in the bridge, is to survive this. We talk about bankroll with 2 main words, right? Leverage and longevity. Your bankroll gives you both. In a good turn, you can use your bankroll as a leverage. Take the wins, stack them in, get some higher bets out there for short periods of time. Bankroll also has something to say about your longevity. How long can you last through it, right? That's why we have loss limits, but it's also why you plan for those downturns, right? Players who last decades, by the way, have been through downswings, multiple long ones. Ken will probably tell you this if he's still in chat. How many times as a pro gambler did you have a downswing? You did not win, I guarantee you, 365 days in a row. It doesn't happen that way, right? It's hard. What separates them is that they avoided the variance. It's not that they avoided the variance, they didn't let the variance change who they are. And that's where the downswing thing is important. Don't change who you are. They are the price of admission, downswings. Your job isn't to avoid it, it's to survive it with your strategy and keep your sanity intact as you're going through. So that's a kind of a big deal. Now, let's have some fun. Let's talk about the D'Alembert, or the D'Alembert, that's how I kind of pronounce it, right? It feels like the smart player system. And it is, as long as you understand how it works, what it can do, and how it works. And I know many of you at least know about this. I know there's a few of us out there that religiously use it. A lot of people maybe have tried and gotten burned by it. I know a lot of people have said, oh, I tried this ladder thing and I got destroyed out there. Well, there's reasons why you probably got destroyed, okay? It's one of the most popular progression systems out there amongst the educated. And I'm not here going to tell you to stop doing it. I'm going to tell you what you're actually doing when you use it, okay? It's a simple system. You pick a base unit. Let's say it's $10. You lose, you go to 20, one more unit. You lose again, you go to 30, one more unit up. Again, you go to 40. So it's always one base unit in the ladder as you work your way up. When you win one, you go back down one unit. So if you're at 40 and you win, you're down to 30. You win, down to 20, right? Every time. Every time your wins and losses balance out, you've made profit equal to your base times the number of wins. It's elegant. This is math, right? This is like literally perfect math, right? Within its own logic. But the problem is that the assumption underneath is that what I just said, the wins and losses will balance, because in the long run, they probably don't. Okay. And they may not in your session. You'll be in a variant session where you have way more wins than losses and you're in great shape. More losses than wins, you're going to be in a tough spot, depending on how big that spread is. And the house edge means you'll have slightly more losses than wins over time. The D'Alembert, or the D'Alembert, can't change the math on that. But what you can do, or what it can do, I think, and this is the magic of this kind of laddering system, is that you can structure your session. You know always what your next bet's going to be. You got $30 out there at a $10 base. You know, if I win, it's 4. If I win, it's 20. If I lose, it's 40. You know what's going to happen. You're not guessing. The distractions we just talked about will not affect you. You've got your bankroll, you have your bet, and you know exactly what's on that stack. I got $30 in this stack. Okay, cool. I win, down to 20. It's easy. I like structure. I like systems like this that you can't screw up because you follow the system. Okay. When you're in the downswing, you're not going to panic bet. You're going to follow the script. The script won't beat the house, but it will beat your worst impulses. And that's a big part. And that's where I think it shines, right? It's gentler than a martingale. You're adding 1 unit per loss, not doubling. You can sustain a longer losing streak as a result before you hit table max. Now remember, table max is the kryptonite for this. You will eventually at some point hit a table max if you stay too long. Okay. For the player who wants structure without the cliff edge risk of aggressive progressions, this is a pretty good little tool right here. Okay. But you're using the tool, right? If you're going to use it, use it. If you prep for 10 levels, let's say you prep for a 10 level loss, right? 1 unit to 2 to 3 to 4 to right up to 10. If you prep yourself and bring the bankroll to sustain 10 levels, you got to bet 10 levels. You cannot shit the bed at level 8 and walk away. You can't. That's where the D'Alembert will get you, right? It's a bankroll play. You're using your bankroll as a hammer here. It's your big tool. Use the tool, right? Prep for your loss. Come into it eyes wide open. And don't mistake the tool that this is for magic, right? You're still playing the house edge on every bet, right? You're still running into the perfect run, right? Where it'll get you and wipe you out. We all watched, we watch Ken and Waylon enough to know that sometimes you'll get to level 8, 9, 10. And like, what does Ken say? You get the little pucker factor going. Happens, right? But again, you're doing it purposefully, knowingly. I'm bringing this, I'm laddering up. I'm going to use my bankroll for what it's for. If you abandon the strategy because of a downswing, you're going to just give it up. You might as well just not even go. It's important. It's a way to organize your losses, not eliminate them. Okay. The D'Alembert won't beat the math. Nothing beats the math, right? Nothing beats a table limit, by the way. That's the other side of it. If you're going to use a system like this, use one that manages risk and keeps your head on straight. That's, I think, the magic of the system, right? Just know what it is. It's structure. It's not salvation. And I think it's an important thing. All these negative progression systems have the same thing in common. You know in advance what your loss is going to be. There's no bringing 1,000, my loss limit's 500. No, you're bringing $3,100 for an eight level shot. That's what it is. Know that, accept it, and buy into it. Yeah? Okay. Doubling down, also something great for the letter D. There are moments in blackjack and potentially other games where the math, though, in blackjack especially, the math is screaming at you, bet more, right? Most players don't listen. If you and this is like the field in craps a little bit, right? The field has that little bit of a bonus that you get sometimes on the 2 and the 12, right? That's what makes it a less shitty bet than it really is. But here's the thing. In blackjack, the basic strategy and the rules of the game give you 2 ways to get more money on the table when the conditions are favorable, and that's splitting and doubling. We'll do splitting later. But today, to talk about doubling, this is a move that separates players who understand math from the players who are driven by fear. Okay? And I have seen this. Oh my God, I've seen this so many times, right? When you double down, as you know, you're going to put up a second bet, right? You got whatever the favorable hand is. You're going to say, I was betting 25. You put a second 20. They let you do it in midstream. Look, it's going to be good for you. Put $25 more on it right now, right? When you double down that second bet, right? In exchange, you only get 1 card though, right? So the risk reward is I'm going to give you double my bet, but I get 1 card. And it sounds risky. You're stuck with what you get. But in all of time, the math has been solved on this one, right? Millions of computer simulations have proven that doubling down is the highest EV play in the game. It's not a guess. It's not a feeling. It's solved. It's solved. Getting that money out there is the difference. It's the reason why I will tell you this. And I think I see Ken out there in the chat. So Ken, back me up here, right? When Ken martingaled in his gambling life, he did it at blackjack. And the reasons why you do that are because A, blackjack pays a little more, right? So the martingale doesn't always just pay 1 unit. You can get the little bit of spiff, right? The doubling and the splitting lets you have an extra crack at it. And I think when you get a chance to do that, you've got to take advantage of it. How many times have you seen somebody not do it, right? You got the 11, the dealer shows a 10, right? Me, double out there, right? Scary dealer card, but you got to double it. You got to double it out. So many people go, oh God, right? Or you see the guy that's got a quarter out there and he's burned his entire bankroll, right? He's got $10 left in his pile, right? And they won't double it down. They'll say, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'll be good to you guys at the table. I'm just going to take 1 card so I don't fuck the shoe up, but I'm not going to double my bet. That's an idiot. That guy should be just carried out by his collar and thrown out of the casino, right? I'm going to keep the shoe correct for you guys because I love my fellow players, but I'm not going to do what's best, right? Sometimes reaching into your pocket and grabbing the extra $15 to make that double correct is the best move you can make, right? When you get a chance to have a little bit of positive EV, and it doesn't happen very often, you got to do it, right? You got the 17, soft 17, A6, right? Dealer's got a 5. It's a weird hand, right? Do you hit? Do you stand? No. You double that. Dealer's got a shitty bust hand. You got a chance where you can't bust. Take the card. Put the money out there. Take the card, right? Soft 18, they got a 6. You got 18. Good hand, right? No. Double it. Get your money out there on the table. When they are weak, you have to show strength. And you don't get that chance very often. So doubling down is one of those things where, you know, the conservative player might say, oh, I'm not doing it. Ken's talking about martingaling, right? You don't double and split when you're martying, but you double and split when you're playing regular. Is that correct? Because when you're martingaling, you can't martingale the double, right? That's a thing. All right. Anyway, back to it. When you fail to double, when basic strategy says so, you're given the money back. It's just the way it works. It's the way the math works. Not theoretical. It's real money. Over the lifetime of play, missed doubles cost you thousands of dollars. It just does, right? And the casino loves that kind of scared money. So don't play with scared money, okay? When the math says double, double. If you hesitate, costs you money. Trust your strategy. Trust basic strategy that you learned. Get your money on the table every time you can. I think the one case we're talking about here is martingaling. You can't do it in a Marty. It's really tough to do a double or a split when you're in the middle of a ladder, but you've got to get money out there. You don't get a chance to do it very often. You got to take advantage of it. When they bend over, you got to take advantage. That just, I mean, hey, that sounds crude, but you have to do that. All right. Next up, and the last up is the don't pass. Imagine a stadium full of people betting a coin flip. All right. This, by the way, is truth, right? 80% of them are going to bet heads. That's the way it works, right? Would they come at the tails people with pitchforks and want to fight them before the coin even landed? That's craps, right? It's fascinating, right? There's two main bets or two main sides, right? The pass line and the don't pass. One pays when the shooter makes their point. One pays when they don't. And mathematically, they're essentially identical. They're two sides of the same coin, right? But stand at a craps table and bet the don't pass and watch what happens. The whole energy shifts. You get the side eye. Somebody better's wrong better. I had a guy curse me out last time I was in Vegas about this. You're a villain. You're betting against a table. You're bad luck. You're ruining it. Ruining what? Did my chips summon the 7? Do my negative vibes travel through the felt and into the dice? No. What's actually happening is I pick tails. That's it. There's a study where researchers actually ask people to simulate coin flips in their head. 80% of people start with heads. Not because it's luckier, not because it wins more. We say heads or tails, and you go heads. Comes first. It's a reaction, right? Craps table, pass, don't pass, right way, wrong way. With shooter against shooter, right? It's just the language that we choose, right? Which one's correct is kind of thrown at you at the front side of it. Pass line is presented first. It's the right way. Dark side is the wrong way. Literally, it's in the words, right? And it's linguistics, it's bias, right? And here's the thing. Most don't pass bettors. I'm going to say most of them because there are some assholes out there, but most don't pass bettors aren't celebrating when everybody else loses. They just aren't. They're not fist bumping when the 7 hits. They collect their money while everybody else groans, right? The negative energy, by the way, that everybody complains about, it's not the don't pass guys. The don't pass guys aren't out there going, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Hope you all lose. They're not doing that. There's a couple, right? Most guys don't do that. They're out there making a bet. Oftentimes the don't pass bet is part of a hedge, right? They're quietly collecting their chips, right? The negative energy comes from the pass line people. It's the people who are mad that somebody picked tails. They're pissed off that somebody picked tails. And that's where the negative energy stems from. All the, look at that. That's where it all gets negative. Not from me at the end playing the don't. I'm just down there playing craps, drinking my whiskey, right? It's everybody else getting pissed off. That brings the energy down, right? I'm not rooting against you, by the way. I don't want you to lose. I don't know you. I'm rooting for me. I'm rooting for me. Same as you're rooting for you, I'm rooting for me. I just picked the different side of the coin, right? You want to bet the pass? Bet pass. I don't care. It's a great bet. Don't pass? Great bet. A little tiny bit better. But it's not why I brought it up. I brought this up today because the stigma about it is absurd. Why would you hate somebody for picking tails? Right? You wouldn't blame them when the coin lands heads. Why is craps any different? Right? It's not. We just convinced ourselves that it kind of is, right? So craps isn't the dark side. We call it that, right? Don't pass isn't the dark side. It's just tails. You're not rooting against the table. I'm rooting for yourself. You're rooting for yourself, right? The next 6, the next 7. Who cares? Pick one. Whatever wins, right? They can call me wrong better all they want to, right? But I'm just too busy collecting over here when my number hits. That's it. That's it. I can root for me and not root against you. And it's an important thing, I think, for you all to realize, or for people in general to realize. And you can use this example to educate them. Heads or tails? What are you picking? Heads or tails? If I pick tails, am I an asshole? Right? Yeah, I want to win my bet. I don't care about what your bet was. I don't care what your bet was. I care about what my bet was. I'm trying to win my bet. That's what it all comes down to. So the don't pass is it's a big important thing, part of the game. And I want you to kind of start helping me frame the narrative a little bit around that. All right. So that is the letter D, the discipline episode. It's all the unsexy crap nobody talks about. No one makes movies about this stuff, right? But let's recap it, right? We start with the mental game, decisions, as your foundation. Distractions trying to pull you off it, reminding that nothing is due. We talked about decision fatigue, how your brain is a battery that drains whether you notice it or not. We face the reality of downswings, variance that comes for all of us, how to survive it without blowing up. And we learned a little bit about some technique, right? The D'Alembert, an honest look at a system that everybody loves to use, right? Doubling down when the math is for you and betting the don't pass, right? The edge, by the way, is not in some secret strategy. All this stuff demands execution. It's doing the right things, the boring things correctly every time, especially when you don't want to. The casino wants you to be human. They want you to be tired. They want you to be distracted, to chase what you think you're owed, to try and beat the system, to flinch when you should double down, to follow the crowd to the worst bet because it feels friendlier, right? Be a human everywhere else in your life. At the table, you got to be a machine. So we'll see you again at the letter E. And so there it is. There's my there's letter D for the day. Let me go through a couple of comments here. One, Daryl, Craps is a social game. Dark side players are anti-social learners. Fine. They're also making a bet. And I'll tell you this too, to kind of combat that. I play the don't all the time, and I'm very social, right? A lot of my don't play is part of the horseman strategy. I'm very social. It doesn't matter. Frankly, I'm okay losing a bet if everybody else wins. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to get mine. When I play a don't, especially a don't ladder, I'm going to get my wins. Eventually, things will swing and I will get my wins if I can last long enough at the table. I love it when people win. Please, 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 please hit the ATS. I have been on the don't and have my bet go away. $100 don't. High fiving everybody around me when they win the ATS. I love it when people win, right? That's just me. Again, my bet is my bet. I don't think that don't players bring negative energy. I think negative energy is cast upon them by everybody else. Who cares? Who cares, right? All right, let's look at the cues. What else is being said here? Oh boy, look at D for drawing. Oh no, it did not happen yet. I took that pause on the drawing for the felts because I wanted to kind of give. I think people were getting Craps for the Cure fatigue, so I wanted to kind of let it rest a little bit. So no, I have not yet drawn it. I'm going to work with Gargoyle and picking a new date for that, and we'll get it out there. So all right. Joe says D is for Duracell 8. I should have had him in the list, honestly. Yeah, D is for D8. D8 is a great supporter of mine and everybody else in the community. So yeah, D for D8. Skill says question. I think a roulette dealer has any influence in the ball. 100% they do. They do. There are, in fact, many procedures. And here's how good they are. You want to know how good they are? I was talking at Casino Quest to Dan, who is the guy that teaches single zero roulette. And by the way, single zero European roulette is way more complex than craps is. He gave us a lesson on the game. In that game, the house can actually stop the spin. Did you know this? So the house may say 8 spins, like the ball, because some of those games are $10,000 minimum bets. Like they're big money, right? So you can't take a chance. Dealers can drop the ball into a quadrant of 6, almost at will. So the house will call, the pit will call 8 spins, 9 spins, 23 spins, and the dealers can actually flick the ball and get 11 exact spins out of it. And if they don't get what was asked for by the pit, game over. That ball doesn't count, right? There's procedures in place for dealers now where they have their fingers in the well. They have to look away, and they have to flick the ball when they're not looking at the wheel. There's all sorts of protections in place to prevent that. You're going to start seeing soon no more dealers. There'll be dealers, but they won't be flicking the ball. It'll be hit out by a machine. That's coming next, right? That will be the thing that we see in the future. So, let's see. I'm looking for no other questions. That's interesting. I thought I saw more questions coming through. Maybe not. All right. Let's get on out of here then. So I'm going to take off. I'm going to go to my meeting here. Yeah, love y'all. Oh, by the way, got to give you my, oh yeah, I hear you there. Nothing better than a hot table and don't players get sniped. See, I think that's bullshit. I think that's a shitty way to look at it. Honestly, you should never be happy when somebody else loses, right? Unless that guy is rooting against you. If he's actually one of these don't players who's trying to like celebrate when you lose and give you guys bad juju, celebrate when those assholes get picked off. But there should never be a time where somebody at the table is happy somebody else loses. That to me is kind of a bad attitude. And that's, again, you talk about negative energy, that's negative energy to me. So just don't, I mean, again, that person's not got anything, they're not doing anything to you. They're just making a bet, right? Let them make their bet and who cares? All right, I'm out of here. Have a great day. Remember this. And by the way, like I said yesterday, watch the news. Watch the news. Win, or what did I say? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Uniformity, not the same as unity. Okay? That, here we are, group think. Group think about the don't. Group think about the right side. Group think about all sorts of things, about laddering versus not laddering. Uniformity is not the same as unity. It's a deep thought. Think about that. Love you guys. God bless. See you tomorrow. Have a great Thursday. Bye.